Full time at Goodison, Everton 0, Manchester City 3. We've just been discussing this before we started recording about a game that was probably about as expected as you can probably expect, with Manchester City, the potential champions, coming to Goodison, and it felt like the most comfortable result they could get as well at Goodison. But nonetheless, I've seen many people on Twitter coming in saying that, well, you know, at least we didn't go out there and get absolutely destroyed in terms of goal scoring and whatnot that they could have put away in the chances that they had. Keith, I'll come to you first, mate. I suppose, first of all, what did you feel about the 11 that Dyche put out today? Because I've pissed and moaned about Mason Holgate for years now, but Mykolenko was out injured, which we found out. Who else are you going to put there at left back?
It's one of them, isn't it? I mean, you look at after he finally got sick of like Holgate messing around and made the sub, and we went to the three at the back with the wing backs, we actually looked a lot more sort of attack. We had more attacking threat, if not sort of like defensive stability that we had in the first half. I mean, Holgate, it is what it is. We know he's not great. He's been asked to fill in a hole today because of injuries and whatnot. You look at the shocking recruitment back in the summer where they brought in Vinagre, and he's played 20 minutes this season.
Yeah.
He's out injured now till the end of the year. Should we have done better? Should we have brought in a better left back in the summer? Probably, but could we with the money? Who knows? So it's one of them. I think he's put out a team today that he's tried to mirror as close as possible to what we did at Brighton on Monday. And for whatever reason, probably the fact we were playing the best football side on the planet, it hasn't worked in the long run. I think actually, do you know what, up until that first goal, which really came out of nowhere for me, they didn't look like scoring. Yeah, they had a lot of the ball, they passed the ball around nicely, but I think we defended very well. Our shape was brilliant. We didn't give them any clear-cut chances. There was no obvious shots on goal, bar long rangers. And then that goal goes in, and obviously quickly followed by the second, which I'm sure we'll talk about in more detail. But I don't think Holgate did that bad. He wasn't great. Let's be honest, he wasn't great. But he was up against, Jack and I have just been speaking about this, Riyad Mahrez today was on a different level. His ball control is out of this world. His first touch, every single time, put him on an attacking foot, put him beyond the full back. And it's almost impossible to defend against. And I don't think, even having Mykolenko in there today, for all his flaws, I don't think it would have made a blind bit of difference.
Yeah, I mean, by the tone of your voice all the way from the start, Keith, it was like, I hate to say this because it feels very defeatist, but it felt like an inevitability in those plays that you mentioned there, when Mahrez is getting the ball, you know, when Foden's getting it on the other side.
Yeah.
They play overlaps so well too.
Yeah.
Like you said about Holgate there, without my sort of knee-jerk reaction about how much I hate the fella. You know, he's had McNeil coming back and trying to double up with him, but even then, they've got Kyle Walker just overlapping Mahrez, and he'll put it in, gets the byline, put across it. And again, I think there's a naivety here that Haaland looks so, probably the quietest I've seen him for half an hour.
And he still scores.
And then, but that's the animal that he is.
He's an absolute freak of nature, Haaland. There was one point in the second half where he was running through to catch up with a City counter-attack, and the pace of him, like he went past Patterson, who was sprinting like he wasn't there. And I think, just to touch on Patterson, I think he had a very good game today. I think he coped very well with Phil Foden, who, as we know, is one of the best young players in the world. And I think he limited him to crosses from deep. He never really got beaten. There was one time he did get beaten, and he sort of chased it back and got back in well. So I think he had a tough assignment today, and I think he dealt well with it. But yeah, the tone of the voice is just, I think we all went in there I thought we could have got something out of that today, but as soon as they score those 2 goals in 2 minutes, there's just that acceptance that the game's gone, and we were never getting back into it from there. And then obviously getting the 3rd goal just at the start of the second half just completely and utterly sucked the life out of Goodison.
Yeah, and it was all about limitations then, wasn't it? As soon as that happened by half time. The midfield, what I want to talk about as well, Laura, with Garner being in there, Onana not even being selected in the midfield anymore. What did you make at the start there?
I'm not too bothered about Onana being selected or not, to be honest. It is what it is. Garner, I think again it goes to what Keith said before about recruitment. Like, we're signing, what is he now, 31 year old midfielder. You think, he's been here before. Yeah, we know what he's about, but you want someone probably younger in there with probably. It's just difficult to compare, isn't it? But damage limitations again. Going back to that comment you said with the fact that looking at, there's people sitting around me today actually actively looking at the table with goal difference now in mind and going, we're 2-0 down. If we how many more can we concede before it starts to look bad next to Leeds in the sense of goal difference? And these are the fine margins now we're sort of coming down to with the last couple of games. And I think we've got one better off than Leeds at the moment. And I think I was like Keith, I don't feel too deflated right now. After losing 3-0, it's like you say. I thought we started off well. Thought Decore was looking quite lively going forward, and I thought maybe we could nick something. I'd have been happy with it. I'd have been more than happy with a draw today. Just going into the last couple of games, just giving us a little bit more breathing space. But it's difficult to feel too hard done by there. Even at 2-0 down, I'm thinking, alright, now I'm thinking ahead to next week instead of thinking about what's happening in front of me, because there's no way we're coming back from since we start conceding.
It's really interesting you say that, because the amount of time it's doing me head in how long we're having to wait. It feels like torture and purgatory that we're waiting for these next games to come along more and more and more. Just get to the 28th and let's know where we are. Do you know what I mean? It's like going through Football Manager as quick as you possibly can, just know you finished it. With that in mind, not to get anything today, Matt. We spoke earlier. You've got real confidence going to Wolves. Like Laura said there, a game like that, to lose it 3-0, it doesn't feel as disappointing as you'd expect from losing a 3-0 home game, regardless of the fact that it was just Manchester City.
No, not at all. Well, as I say, we got Gundogan.
Well, that's all I meant.
We got Gundogan. Like him in the title running, Ilkay Gundogan is just another level. He really is, and he had a spell of 5 minutes where he just switched it on and put us to the sword and just taken us out, just swept us aside, and they're like, right, on to the next game now. So I don't feel deflated at all by that. And if we play half as well as we did today against Bournemouth, we should get something out of it, if not all 3 points. Because if you look at the actual stats, we limited City to not many chances, like pretty half chances. Jordan Pickford's been getting some criticism off the Sky Sports pundits apparently, but it seems a weird phrase to use in a 3-0 loss. He didn't have a save to make, really. Obviously, the free kick and that, but he wasn't called upon to constantly, bail us out as he has been at times this season. Even in the 5-1 against Brighton, he had to pull off a couple of fantastic saves to keep the scoreline as it was. So they had 0.8 expected goals, and we had over 1. I can't be massively furious with that performance, to be honest. And I think Dyson said to him at half-time, look, 2-0, we're not getting back into this. He's a realist, very pragmatic. He sent them out there to just knock it about and play some half-decent football. And at times they did. We did actually have some spells of football in the second half where they actually started to enjoy the game again, even though we were 3-0 down. Because we're just this is all right to watch and that. And
everyone sat there looking at the phone, seeing what the league table looks
exactly.
like.
I think one of the telling things is that at half-time, we go off 2-0 down. I didn't hear a single boo. We've had games where we've gone off half-time at 0-0 and there's been boos from Goodison. Yeah. There was no boos, nothing like that. Obviously, I didn't stay for the full time. I had to get back to get the train because Merseyrail don't know how to run a service on Sundays. But I imagine at full time there wasn't massive, screaming boos or anything like that. So, yeah, we just dust ourselves off, going to the next one. And we got two teams coming up now who are fully on the beach. Like, they're safe, they're not going anywhere higher up the table. Let's just get in the face and just try and bully them a bit. And I think we can take 6. We can take 6 from these 2 games now.
Just put on the page, man.
Slashing on here, yeah. I've got it the wrong way round anyway.
That's alright.
Okay, what am I answering? Just thoughts on the game?
Just thoughts,
Yeah, I think I'm usually Mr. Positive, and I think even now I am. I think at the end of the day, there's the only other team that might be better than City in the world right now is probably Real Madrid. So I think if a boxer goes in the ring like scores something and he don't get knocked out, it's almost an achievement in itself. And that's sort of my thoughts on it today. We really shouldn't have had the pressure that we had on ourselves to play like that today. To basically, we shouldn't have needed those points much we do today. But it is what it is. I think the real big game is Wolves away, 100%. Everybody knows the Bournemouth are the bogey team. But I think the Wolves one is the big one. I think at the end of the game today, a lot of people stayed, especially after performances like that. I don't think we did terrible or anything, but a lot of, some people did leave, but the ones who did stay were just, everyone was just saying, like, Wolves, the big ones, everyone was pushing that. And I think if you're Wolverhampton there, you're sitting there thinking, look how they just played against City. How many teams are being turned over, 6-7-0. Haaland, he's after Dixie Dean's record. How did he not get a hat-trick here today? Do you know what I mean? So things like that, we got a lot of stuff right before we were 1-0 down. Mina and Tarkowski were controlling Haaland so well. But I think one of the big things they got to us early on was the corners and stuff. They were leaving a few people around the box and all that, but that's just a really good tactic for them because we focus on those players outside the box and Haaland can just drift into different positions and things like that. So that was their game plan for the very start, and I think we were just dead unlucky. The Gundogan just had one of the best goals I've ever seen in my life live. So unbelievable. There was no keeper in the world saving that, no players stopping that.
No keepers expecting.
Yeah, unbelievable goal. And listen, it's bad. We went 2-0 down. If there's any real criticism today, it's on that second goal. And it's right side to either Patterson or Obi or whatever it is, however you want to say their fault. But if we'd have went in 1-0 down and we'd have finished 3-0 down, I don't think I'd have the same opinion as I do now. But 2-0 down, only conceding 1 in the second half. The goal you concede, world-class free kick. You can't be unhappy with that. At the end of the day, it is what it is. It would have been boss if we had the grit and the players and the options to be able to go, do you know what? They've scored 2 in 2 minutes. We'll go and push and we'll get 2-3 in the last half an hour. But we don't have them options. Our biggest issue with the whole first 11 right now is Doucouré, because Doucouré is class. He's the linchpin of the system that we're trying to play, but we really just don't have an option to replace him. So when you get to those last 20-30 minutes, Doucouré's a bit tired, McNeil's tired. McNeil's been playing left mid and left back the whole game. They're the players that are going to make the difference, but we don't have the replacements for them. So I think today is one of those games where you just think, yeah, we could have got something, but with our current situation, our current squad, it would have been a miracle to get something, Joe, especially when we are down. But I'm not that unhappy about it. I'm still feeling quite positive. Yeah, it's scary right now, but we were here last season, when we lost to Burnley last season, and it was all doom and gloom. We were getting liquidated, and we're still surviving just about now. Do you know what I mean? We still might be. We could stay up and still get it, but
I think
you never know, mate. I think next week is the big one. Yeah. That's all I'm taking from it.
I was just going to say, I think Jack started to talk about McNeil there. And for the past, I think we have to give a lot of credit to Dwight McNeil. The past couple of weeks,
so
he's just, under Dyche, he's just gone to another level. Unbelievable. Yeah. You can see how hard he's working as well. I think you can see he's feeding off that sort of energy he needs. He needs confidence in himself. And the fact that, I think, last week we were all in here watching a Brighton game and he'd actually seen the videos of everyone singing. I think that's a massive boost for him, and I think if he can keep playing the way he's playing, and hopefully, fingers crossed, Dom is going to be fit. He's obviously been taken off as a precaution, hopefully today. Then I think there's no reason why we can't sort of go into the final 2 games thinking we could go out and win both of them. Why can't we?
Yeah, I was going to say, sorry to interrupt you. It's Dwight McNeil. When we signed him, start the season, when we got him after Richarlison and everything, I don't think anybody was sitting there thinking this is the natural replacement, especially what did he get, 1 assist in 40 games last season. But that guy, He's worked so hard this year. He's like the perfect example of hard work paying off. He's got 7 goals, 3 assists. First time he's ever got 10 goal involvements in the season. He's been unbelievable. He's looking like an absolute bargain. Like, this is the thing, we have so many money issues, but there's situations like that with, with Charleston going for 60, Dwight McNeil comes in, Anthony Gordon goes 45 mil. All of a sudden, Dwight McNeil's looking like an absolute bargain. Do you know what I mean? And in today's market, to get a player under 20 mil who can perform like that for your club, it's unbelievable. Like, Damari Gray, when he was doing really well, everyone was like, God, he was only 2-3 mil or whatever it was. But McNeil looks like a serious long-term replacement. And I think if you're Wolves right now, I'm not saying they're going to be scared or anything like that, I'm not saying that, but you look at the way we played against Brighton, you look at the way their style of play, we really are like perfect team to come and get a good upset against them and to do them. And I reckon, I don't think they're going to want it. I reckon if we go at them the way we were at Brighton the other day, the way the players are playing, the form they're in, I really do reckon we'll get them. Genuinely do. So, I don't know, just wants to get that in there. All players playing well.
What we were talking there about Decore, the way certain players started to perform when we went 3-0 down. It's hard to be critical anyway, because there's a level of discipline there, because then you're thinking, and I certainly did anyway when we went 2-0 down, this is going to be 5, 6, 7, given how crucial the goal difference is going to be in these last 2 games. I can't have expected Sean Dyche to be screaming at them saying, listen, just keep the ball, don't try and attack and stuff like that, but at the same time, that's exactly what they did. They kept possession, they get it forward in the wide areas, maybe throw a cross in or 2. I know these are really not great things to be talking about when you're in game 36, and we still need, well, probably still in our own hands, isn't it, which is a lot to still be able to say.
Depending on Monday.
Oh, mate, if you take a bit of context in this, to take 3 points from Brighton away, we've been one of the teams of the season, and the champions, let's face it, probably going to go and win it. Taking 3 points from those 2, I think every club in the league would take that.
That win at Brighton could prove to be the result. That could prove to be the result that keeps us up in the long term, because it was huge. Can you imagine how toxic Goodison would have been today if we'd lost on Monday there? I think you spot on there. I think you've seen a lot of times this season when we've gone 2 goals down, Newcastle, Brighton at home, where the games just, you go 2-0 down and they lose all discipline, they lose all shape, and they're running about like Sunday League footballers. I think today they stuck at the task. I mean, obviously they've got that 3rd goal. It's a ridiculous free kick. The skill to get that up and down from that range is outrageous. But I think they stuck at the task, and I don't know if it's a case of we stifled them or if City eased off the pedal a little bit or what, but at 3-0 it's sort of, I don't know, it had the feel of like a pre-season game. Like,
it's training match,
the pace, I think both sides accepted at 3-0 that was going to be the result. There wasn't going to be a difference in the result. Even with the time left, Everton were never going to get 3 goals back. So I think they stuck to the task well. Like you said, we moved the ball forward, got forward in wide areas, threw a few crosses in. Unfortunately, it was like Mopey in the middle who's wearing his welder's boots and rooted to the floor, and not Calvert-Lewin or Sims, who could actually put in a physical challenge. But there we go, we move on. It's one of them, isn't it, today? Like, have you ever been less pissed off after a 3-0 home defeat than you are today? It's a proper weird feeling, and I'm still in quite a positive mind frame, stemming off the back of Monday, and I'm in the position now where I think if we take any positive result on Saturday at Wolves, we stay up. If we win, happy days. We could be safe by the end of the weekend. If we get a draw, I think they'll take the positivity of that draw into the Bournemouth game. I think if we lose, we're in big trouble. I think if we lose that Wolves game, Bournemouth, the atmosphere around it, the crowd, it's going to be tense. It's going to be horrible. So, I mean, if you offered me it now, I'd take a draw next week. Brighton have just missed an absolute sitter in Cisco. Half their team are Football Manager regens, aren't they? They're not real footballers. I've never heard of these people in my life. Even the manager, he's made up. He's an AI character. So yeah, it's one of them today. You take it on the chin. We played the best football team on the planet, and we went toe-to-toe with them for 35 minutes, 36 minutes, and the two quick-fire goals kill it. They change a game. But that's why City have got the best players in the world and the best manager in the world. And they can do that to a game. They can just flick a switch, take a team out the game, and then they just manage the situation. We don't have that.
They're perfect at grinding teams down as well. They're perfect. That's their whole game plan. Is one of the big things for them is composure. The composure is unbelievable. There was one point I think I don't know if it was Patson. Somebody went through Rodri, or maybe Garner, maybe James Garner. He went through him, flattened him, and Rodri just got up, just dusted off, and just carried on. No argument, no kick off, no nothing. This is smart. They know how to win. And like you were saying about Mahrez earlier, like that guy, they signed him years ago. They signed so many good players since then, and he's still getting in the team, and he's unbelievable. So you got to really think about it. Like, you know, I said earlier, like people always talk about Pep Guardiola's Barcelona team, the best team ever, and all that type of thing. I think these are even better. I think these are even better than them, and I think these have so much more depth than they had. And it's just, you're talking about every single player as like an amazing ability.
Look at their subs today. They took off Haaland and bring on Jack Grealish.
Exactly.
And then you look at our bench and you've got two goalkeepers.
Yeah.
What the difference is completely
Even
stark.
Calvin Phillips, easily getting our team.
Who was the other sub they made? They brought off. Was it Foden came off, or was it Mahrez that came off? And they brought on Bernardo Silva.
Yeah.
That's just disgusting.
It's
That's
obscene.
not.
De Bruyne is still sitting there.
Yeah.
De
De Bruyne is just sitting there, flicking through the
One of the
Sunday
best
post for his
midfielders,
crossword.
one of the best midfielders in the world, if not the best midfielder in the world, is sat on your bench, and they don't even have to break a
Bernardo Silva
sweat.
is like an Iniesta regen as well. He's fucking absolutely unbelievable.
I'm sure I heard that Andy Hinchcliffe was saying they haven't got a strong enough bench.
He's one miserable get at Andy Hinchcliffe, by the way. I haven't seen the game on telly today because I've been there, but every time I've heard him commentate on Everton, he's the most bitter man you would ever like associate with the club. He absolutely hates Everton, and I don't get it. It's almost akin to Kevin Ratcliffe when he used to do the Channel 5 UEFA Cup commentary, and he couldn't even pronounce Jagielka's name despite the fact that he'd managed his brother. Jagielka, he called him. And that was the worst thing, is he'd managed Jagielka's brother at Chester.
Really?
Unless they pronounced their names differently.
Two different people.
Just for sport. But yeah.
We're talking about criticism, dead quick. I think the reason why it's such a strange feeling today, you know, getting beat 3-0. I'm really hard pressed to criticise any player. Honestly, I think at the end of the day, when we can see the second goal, you know, either whichever one will be Patson, one that made a mistake. But it's rare in a game that one mistake has such a brutal consequence. Do you know what I mean? When you play in City, like, it's a really cruel punishment for like such an easy mistake to make, you know. But there's not many teams in Wales footy that are like that when you play against them. And I honestly think everybody played. I think not everybody played amazing, but so many players played well. I mean, Calvert-Lewin had a fucking great game. There's loads of them. Mina had a great game. Tarkowski had a great game. There's loads of them. Do you know? It was top to bottom. Everybody performed the best they could. But sometimes teams are just fucking well better than you are. Better than you are, and that's the circumstance.
Yeah. To beat Manchester City, you need a perfect, mistake-free game.
Absolutely perfect.
And that is not Everton.
And that's not Everton, especially not this season. And you also need the small moments to go your way, like the Holgate chance at 0-0. I can't criticise Holgate too much for it because it's a difficult chance. The way the ball bounces. Ideally, you want that to be Doucouré so he can get his go-go gadget legs, extend it up to his neck, and like side foot it in like he did against Brighton. But it's just one of them. It's if you score there, Goodison's raucous.
Yeah.
It's a different game, and then like 5 minutes later they're 2-0 up, and the crowd's just dead. I think, like you say, criticism-wise, there's not too much to criticise today. The second goal for me is, I think Pickford should probably do better, but he's rushing across his goal. He's overcommitted to one way, and Haaland's come back across him. Tarkowski should maybe pick up Haaland's run, because Mina's had to go across to cover for Patterson after he's won the header. So Tarkowski's just like Haaland's just drifted in. Yeah. How can a man that's 6'4", 6'5",
he's like a ghost,
built
isn't he?
like Ivan Drago, just
I don't like that he's looking at me when he's
appear into spaces and nobody's watched him do it? He's an absolute freak of nature.
Do you know what's really interesting about him? Any manager in the world, look at somebody of that height, a number 9 goal scorer, and you put him in the 6-yard box waiting for someone to whip it in, and he's trying to jump at everything. But watching him so many times when corners were taken for them, he stands just on the edge of the 18-yard box, and you're like, how can you mark him? Because you can't force one of your centre-backs to go out there and stand with him, because then it's leaving a gap in the middle when you've got left-backs who can't really defend, i.e. Holgate, and you know, I'd happily sit here and go through him all day, to be honest with you. But he's almost like you say, ghost. I think that's a really good
He's like a ghost.
way of describing him.
Do you know what it is? Because ghosts make people know their presence, don't they? But you can't see them.
Yeah. that's
like
a really
like
good
a wee
point.
poltergeist, isn't he?
Big translucent gold machine, isn't he?
He's got magnificent hair as well, by the way.
I think he's a poster child for anyone who's albino.
Cheers, man.
Hey!
He's like Stephen Naismith if he got on the steroids.
When Malky came on today, I said, this is his Stephen Naismith hat-trick moment. This is when it's going to happen.
Oh,
Within
mate,
1 minute, I was
honestly.
like, all right, maybe it's not happening today.
I would bring Sims on ahead of Mopey.
Yeah, but
because
it
he's
feels
a
like it's
similar.
just wasted
He
opportunity.
He's a similar build to Dom, and it's similar
he
kind of player.
offers nothing.
Yeah.
Let's be honest, there is
He's got one
no...
foot out the door as well. Everyone knows he's going.
I mean, is he going though? We've got him on contract for 3 years, and who's paying money for him?
Well, did Tosin really play for Everton? When he was doing, he still can't. You know, I think he'll just be like someone who's on the outskirts.
I think
of the team, you know.
I think it's a massive laugh that ever since Tosin's gone, they've got the digital advertisement boards round the ground advertising Turkey's finest hair clinic.
Hey,
No, it was never there when he played for the club, but since he's left, every single week, Turkey hair clinic.
I think
It's called like Vasia, isn't it, or something like that?
Maybe that's where he's
Or
gone.
Vera, was it Vera?
That was Vera, yeah.
Rob Vera. Shout out to our mate Rob.
During the Coleman years, we had Sandro, a balding man. Wayne Rooney already had a hair transplant, could do with another one. We had Klassen, and then Tosin. Why did we sign so many bald men? Do you know what I mean? That's a red flag straight away.
Heavy on Wayne
I feel
Rooney.
this is offensive talking to me about this, mate, 'cause Wayne's on its
You're not a
way.
professional 20-odd-year-old footy player, right? That's the difference. A millionaire on top of that.
Yeah, I'd have to save up a bit more than they do. They could do it tomorrow.
It's heavy on Wayne Rooney, a man in his 30s who managed to go bald twice.
Yeah, it's absolutely
That's just.
Then when he got
normal.
it fixed, it looked shit as well.
Yeah. It was
Have you
shocking.
seen that place?
I think when he shagged that old woman, she took some of his power like Space Jam and just stole away from him.
I tell you what, the disco's kicking off upstairs. I think it's a good time to wrap this one up.
Matt, I'll leave you on the final word. Maybe he's be sitting here nodding.
I haven't really got many final words. I don't think there's a massive amount of analysis to do with that game, is there? It's just one of those. It's just... Yeah, the main point is we've done ourselves a favour with the Brighton game because we knew that one was a write-off, and the fact that we're all sitting here with a smile on our face and laughing despite losing 3-0, it's the best you can hope for, innit?
Yeah. Spot on, mate. That's the way we're going to end this post-match. Bagfuls of stuff coming this week, as always, on the Blue Room. Thanks for listening. Up the toffees.
Speaking with you guys.